folks, Dave here, and welcome back to my gigantic Minutemen prison that I'm currently building here at Thicket Excavations. Last episode, we worked on the main prison entrance, and while it's not done yet, today I want to focus on something a bit more internal to the prison, and that's going to be our system of punishments. You guys have been wanting to see this part for a while, so I figured we'd take a swap from the outer part of the prison and check things out here in the intersection. Because the question is, how do we reinforce order in the prison? And the more that I build on this location, the more that I just really like the idea that once a prisoner goes through the inner gates to the lower part of the prison, they're just never going to come out. Which means that the Minutemen probably won't ever go inside the prison itself either. So, how do we deal with potential escape artists or prison breaks from outside? How do we really lock things down once prisoners are sent inside? Well, first, let me show you guys what I've been working on for the inner gate right here. I've reworked this entire wall section using, again, those same stone walls. I figure it's a stone quarry, we can definitely get a lot of stone mined. But I've also used a few bits and pieces of General Dave's wasteland walls right there. And then we've got a repurposed bank vault door right here. Check this thing out. It's got its own fuse box. You flip the switch and it opens up. I've got a floating power cable right there that glitched from somewhere. It's not actually connected. I just need to go in and remove it. But that's how the inner security door works. And I think this is really going to be the line of demarcation right here. Once a prisoner has been processed through the entrance, taken down the ramp and through this inner gate, this is their new home. They're never coming out of the Thicket Excavations prison. The rest of their prisoner life is going to be spent working in the factory, building prefabs for the Minutemen settlements, or if they want to slack off, they simply won't get any rations, or they could work in the prison kitchen, vie for control of some of the upper class areas, quote-unquote upper class, really just prison hierarchy, and so on. They're just never going to get out. With that in mind, I've tried to make this upper entrance as secure as possible while still being lore-friendly for the apocalypse. Now, I can't shut the door from this side because it is controlled by the switch. As you guys can see, once that door seals up, there's just no way through. To prevent anyone trying to climb up this section, we've got the saw blade trap, and of course there's a security gate bunker right here just inside of the main door, then a primary security bunker which also houses one of our fusion generators. So besides the saw blades and the walls themselves, you've got guard towers everywhere 24/7 watching what's going on at the gate. And that's not even counting our suspended guard tower and light complex here in the center. I also wanted to figure out how to get our drainage pipe through here securely. So I used a doorway section of the security gate, added some custom braces down there at the bottom, added a couple layers of wire mesh, and then some of these walkway security pieces all kind of welded together to create our own security fence that allows that piping right through. And it still has that barbed wire at the top for extra protection. Basically, you're not going to be climbing over this very easily. I imagine that some prisoners would try though, given that the alternative is, well, life in this massive prison. So if we're going to all that work to keep people inside of the prison, how do we establish law and order? Well, today, I'm going to set up a punishment area for those who have attempted to escape. So I'm going to head over to the trap section first. I'm going to grab some of these trap doors, because what we're going to run along the higher part of the wall right here is going to be an area where firing squads can take out people who had attempted to escape, and I'll show you guys how that's gonna work. I'm gonna use, I think, just 2 of the trapdoors. This is gonna be kind of a apocalyptic version of the hangman's noose here. To make sure we have line of sight across the way, because that section of guardrail right there is where our marksmen are going to be lined up for the firing squad. We're going to lower this just a tiny bit. We don't want people to be able to climb up this. But you guys know me, my immersion requires that it is supported correctly. So we're going to have just a couple of supports like this, which I'm going to place manually. And we should have some larger wooden supports as well. If you guys haven't grabbed this wooden supports mod that I've been using the last few weeks, you should check it out. Link is in the description. It's available on all platforms, PS4, Xbox, and all that jazz. PC, of course, where I am. But it's available on PS4 because it only uses Bethesda models and textures. There's no custom models and textures. It's just the ones that were added in the base game. I figure a single support post like this would not be easily climbable. So you guys may be wondering, what exactly am I doing here with trapdoors, hangman style, but I'm talking about a firing squad? Well, here's what I envision. We're going to have a crane set up. Let me grab some kind of staircase here. And suspended from the crane are going to be some of those Raider-style cages. The idea here is that if you're caught escaping, and I would imagine that almost everyone is caught, if you're caught escaping, you're put in one of these cages, lowered down beneath this platform using the wall here as a backstop, and then the firing squad across the way right here, in plain view of everyone down here in the prison, executes you from across the way with rifle shots. And I need to place some plywood over these holes because I am going to go right through them. I can see that happening right now. Yep, there we go. Now, unfortunately, it won't be actually operable because I can't, here in the workshop, create, animated cages. But we're going to make it look really convincing, guys. Just need some good support pillars. I'm going to do it out of, I think, wood for the most part. Give it that scrappy look. Make it easier to replace if it gets riddled with gunshots, too. Besides the firing squad area that we're building here, I'm also going to put a few pillories in, where if you maybe didn't escape the prison, but did some sort of lesser crime, you'd be put in the pillory instead. Oh, here we go. Nice big post. And actually, that post might make more sense even down here. Yeah, that looks a bit better. So I'm creating a hangman-style scaffolding, but it's literally just to hold the cages up. Aha! Medium-sized post like this. That should work a bit better. I have in mind a few other decorative things like cog wheels and stuff like that that we can use to make the whole rigging look like it could move. This is definitely going to be a more decorative style part of the build compared to what I've been building. We're getting to the point now where there's still a lot of, large sections to build. But I can spend some time on smaller details as well. So this will be what our winch rests on to raise and lower the cages. I might have a skeleton in one of them too as decoration. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let me go into free cam for a second here and make sure that nothing's actually floating. It can be tough to tell. Yeah, like right there, that's floating just a bit. It can be very hard to place things in first person constantly. Let's move it up 2 units. And I think the same for that one as well. So yeah, I'll occasionally use the free cam to fly around and make sure that nothing's actually floating too much. I wonder if we have some kind of chain we could also use. Let's go to Homemaker next and go ahead and place those cages so we can use them as reference. Decorations. No, structures. Miscellaneous, and then Raider, and Super Mutant Objects. Look at that, guys. The cage fits perfectly through the hole. Although I'm running into a problem now where it looks like that plywood's got a whole bunch of stuff connected to it. Okay. I'll move this one instead. Yep, that'll fit through the hole. So I'll have the plywood for over here kind of off to the side. This cage I'm going to leave sitting on top of the plywood, seeing we can't move it anyway without moving all the pillars. I do hate how things get attached to each other sometimes. Anything else under miscellaneous that would be useful? Got our telephone poles? No, we're good for now. Let's figure out how to make the chain and winch next. So I'm going to do a save right here. I'm going to go into my decorations category where I have a Greebles mod installed. The Greebles mod lets you place just a bunch of different cosmetic stuff from the game. So you've got piping and all kinds of stuff like that. A loudspeaker for announcing the crimes of whoever's being fired upon by the firing squad. Paint mixer. But in here I should have a couple of different things like chains to hold the cages up, as well as a cog wheel of some kind that we can use to make the winch look convincing. If it comes down to it, we can always use wires as fake ropes, like the power lines. That tends to look okay. Okay, so right there we've got a light on a chain. So that might be useful to give the chain effect. Of course, the downside is I've got to cover up the light now. It's even got a lever we can place on a table or something. That's cool. I'll just place it there for now. Here we go. This cog wheel right here, I can place it like this, and perhaps it'll look convincing enough to look like it's actually being used with the chain. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Again, when you're creating this stuff in the workshop, you can get pretty creative, but you've got to use a little bit of imagination in there too. So what can we use to hide that red light? We might not have exactly what we're looking for, but I'm thinking, guys, we might do something along the lines of one of the small generators running up top. So it looks like the whole thing's got some power. Let's see what we can do with a small generator. Just one of these right here. And to make it look like it's actually going to do something, what we can do, you guys can tell I'm thinking out loud here. We can go back to our Greeble decorations. And I'm going to get a second one of those wheels like we just placed up there. Place it on top of the generator. And then we're going to connect all of the different pieces with wire. Still haven't found a good thing to cover the light up with, though. Although this might work. Put the wheel on it like that. So it's like it's a gigantic cap that when the trapdoor drops, prevents the cage from falling all the way through. That could work. Yeah, this is definitely a fun change of pace from all of the large areas that I've been building. This kind of creative micro detailing. Thing's belching out some black smoke there. So we've got a couple of cages set up. We've got the initial wheel piece, which is clipping just a little bit with smoke pipe. So let's do it like that. I'm trying to figure out what kind of table I want to put the switch on, because that's pretty important. But I might just do a very simple table. Something easily moved back and forth like this one right here. Alright. Now comes the last stage, which is to connect just a couple of these pieces with wire to make it look like they actually are connected. I'm going to use these, where is it? Small connectors I've got. Well, it looks like I don't have small versions of the conduits that's just pointing straight up, so let's just use one big one, but just look how huge that is. That's ridiculous. That'll work for the switch. And then, there we go, no wireless size 25. Just put that over here. The wheel seems to be a bit glitched in place. I can't select it or move it with the console at all, so we're going to have to work with it as it is. I'm going to hide this inside of the wheel as much as possible, because the goal here is to make it look like it's just cabling and not actually power conduit. So we're going to hide the conduit as much as we can. It has very finicky, ooh, watch the edge, very finicky collision. It would be pretty awesome if this could actually move, but I think it's going to look cool enough even without being functional. See if I can fix that. Get back up there. Okay. We've got our switch with the giant conduit, our generator, our chains, and our cages. I think I am going to put some wooden barriers up, just because I would not want any Minutemen troops falling down into the prison. Or should it be walls? Should I just do railings for the platform, or should I have actual walls? I think it's safe enough, but I don't know. Maybe not. Gonna do this one like that, so that our plywood actually looks good. kind of tucked underneath right there. And now for our staircase. Let's just do it, turn snapping off. Do it like that. With just a very slight gap in the chain link, and I think I will put an actual chain link gate there as well. While I'm in the wood miscellaneous category, let's put a support pillar below that. There we are. No railings for that. It's just a small drop anyway, right? Let's do a quick save, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and put that chain link gate here that can be locked, just so I don't forget it. Let's get that pillar fixed. Keep getting pieces of this part of the build stuck on other pieces, so when you move one, something else goes floating off into oblivion. There we go. Let's fix that chain link fence. Let's see how the smallest one fits. And that should do to keep the riffraff mostly secure. I mean, the main part of the security here is, again, the guard tower is always watching, and just how high this platform is above everything else. So we've got the winch system, and the chains and the cages. You know, guys, I kind of think that's all I'm going to add up here for now. There may be another detail or two for the final tour, but I don't want to spoil that. I'm going to hop down here like this, though, because there is one last detail I want to add for you guys while we're here. Oh man, I gotta go into decorations. I believe it's under small posters. I've got a blood splatter. It's a poster, technically, that I just retextured as a blood splatter. I used it for my Pleasure Island build that was way out on wow, I've forgotten the actual name of the island. What's the island settlement offshore? Oh man. Oh right, Spectacle Island. I actually was gonna guess that, but it just did not sound right in my head. I'm so used to, in my lore, it being Pleasure Island. But yeah, got a few blood splatter decals here so that I guess the cages wouldn't be quite that far down. So when the firing squad fires away, and the prisoners have dropped through, need to go over here just a bit, you've got some evidence of what's been going on. And perhaps for Homemaker, if you look under decorations again, nope, structures, and those super mutant objects. Oh, I can't place any of the meat bags. I do like that raider pole, though. I might place a couple of spikes just to... Would that discourage people from climbing or encourage the climbing? That might encourage the climbing. Alright, no spikes. But once I can find some mole rat meat, I'm going to place some of these bloody meat piles kind of down below where the firing squad is going to fire. Well, guys, I think for now, sticking with that theme of prison justice... Ooh, that was a far jump. The only other thing I want to add for this episode, before I call it, is a couple of pillories. I'm trying to think where those actually are. Resources, perhaps? Miscellaneous? Got some prisoner shackles. Look at that. I guessed correctly for once. Resources, miscellaneous. Now these would be operated by the prisoners themselves. You guys remember last time we looked at kind of the overboss for the prison? His office would be up there in this shack right here. So the pillory would be for prisoners who maybe got caught planning an escape. Nothing put into motion yet or anything like that. Or maybe other crimes against other criminals. Honestly, it would really just be a number of miscellaneous crimes that didn't quite deserve death. That's what these pillories would be for. But I'm putting them down here because, again, I don't think any Minutemen or mercenaries or really anybody besides prisoners themselves would ever go down here once the prison was actually open. So the lesser justice, quote unquote, I guess you could call it the lesser punishments for the prisoners, would be handed out by other prisoners down here on the pillory. So I'm going to place a couple of these pillories up here on this ledge overlooking the bar. So that would essentially be a place where everyone could see you being out there in the heat and whatnot for a week. I'm just going to go with a week as the time that would usually be handed out. Do 2 staircases like that. Use that concrete pipe. And I'm just going to lay our pillory right into the concrete of... oh, I guess it's the stone of the wall here. Where everybody could see you. It's also a bit ironically over the overboss's personal trailer right here. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind the complaining from above. Or maybe they would just know that you better watch that complaining. Alright guys. There's our 2 pillories for in-prison justice.
We've got to do something to stop these raiders.
Our frame rate is dropping quite a bit from toggling through all the workshop items. The frame rate for the settlement is actually still doing pretty good, but if you build for a while, the workshop does cause a frame rate drop. So we're going to call it there. Let's go take a look at how things look from the firing position across the way. Let's also talk just for a minute about some feedback from last time. Ignore the floating caravans there. They're going to be used for prisoner housing. I just placed them floating so I wouldn't forget about them. You guys had a couple of suggestions for this area out here. And one of them was to make it more fortified for attacks from outside because, you know, even if prisoners are only held here in the holding area for a few days, that would give their gangs a chance to break them out before they entered the lower part of the prison, never to be seen again. And I agree. We're going to do a bit more shoring up of this section. This part out here is looking pretty good with all of the defenses that I placed last time, but I want some more inner walls to protect the prisoner holding area. So somewhere right about, I'd say maybe right here, instead of just the chain link fences that you guys see right now, I'm going to use those RangerDave wasteland walls, and we're going to kind of seal in the prisoner holding area with extra security to protect it from attack from the outside. So that'll funnel them a bit more carefully into the inner prison. So yeah, the chain link here is just one layer of 2 that I'm going to have for right where I'm standing. Good call on that, guys. I was thinking that the chain link might be enough, but I don't think it will be. I also really like the idea of there being a dog kennel here this is a prison after all. Dogs would be useful for tracking escapees and just general security. So I've actually picked up the Creation Kit dog downloadable companion, I guess you could call it. I'm not sure what you actually call it. It's my first Creation Kit purchase, but the dog system looked pretty neat and quite polished. So I figured, hey, I'll support these creators and I'll buy one of the dogs. So I've chosen to go with the sheepdog, essentially. I think that's a good fit for the Minutemen. They're very intelligent and not quite as aggressive as some other dogs might be out here in the Commonwealth. I think it fits at least what General Dave would imagine his persona to be here in the wasteland of, you know, it's not just about the more intense, large, protective guard dogs, but kind of the smarter ones here as well, and the smaller ones as well. So yeah, we're going to see some of the kennels coming up. For now, guys, as our frame rate totally erodes, this is what the firing squad line looks like from across the way. So you guys can see we've got it set up where the prisoners drop through, and once they're hanging down below, and there's a good backstop for the bullets, our riflemen, let's get a scoped rifle here. Yeah, our riflemen can just fire right across the way and take out a prisoner who's been captured trying to escape. Again, guys, that's been a fun, very different part of the build. The winch system actually looks really, really neat from back here, even though I think that one conduit might be floating again. I'm pretty happy with that. As always, guys, keep those ideas coming. For now, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time.